Hey guys, and welcome to an awesome showdown between the mighty Loopy of Clan ODM and Fornelius as the Wood Elves do march upon the Empire, which is generally quite a poor matchup for the Wood Elves. So Loopy has gone to some extreme measures here to bring a pretty insane and wild build, and I absolutely love it. We have not one, not two, not three, not four, but 5 great Stag Knight units, one of which is the Regiment of Renown, the Lost Silver Knights, who did get nerfed a little while ago, but are still very, very scary indeed. Look how glorious they look in the gloom of the forest. That is an absolute picture right there. In fact, you know what? Boop! That's going to be the screenshot in a nutshell. Really cool units all round. We do have the Sisters of Thorn as well to help support them, coming in with the Shield of Thorns and the Prey. That can seriously do some really nice buffing work all round. Leading this mighty army, we do have Orion, the King of the Woods, driving forth. And as you can see, the Wood Elf force is completely vanguarded to the left-hand flank of the Empire. For Orion, he has the, looks like all his buffs today actually, Cloak of Azure, Horn of the Wild Hunt, as well as his nice air effect bombardment abilities. We have a Spellslinger of Life coming with Earthblood, and he's certainly going to need it today with so many expensive units on display. Earthblood and Flesh to Stone, not a bad cheeky little combo. And yeah, that's it for the build. That's a very expensive elite cavalry force. We'll have to see how it does pay out. Now for the Empire, they've gone for a really interesting tactic, which I wish we saw more players do, and that's actually dividing his forces up into 2 separate fire bases with artillery in each one. If your opponent floats out to his left-hand side and starts taking down your force, that's fine. You can crossfire it where possible. But, you know, we'll have to see if it does pay off and work. We have some great swords. We have Sigma Suns and Halberdiers protecting this left-hand side with 1 unit of Empire Knights. And it looks like the Liege Lord today is going to be Foot Boris Toddbringer. What an absolute Chad coming into action today. It looks like he does indeed have his Midland Runefang and is good, you know, Foe Seeker, Deadly Onslaught, all the basic stuff. In the back burner, we do have the White Wolves, Regiment Renowned Huntsman, supporting a great cannon there, and a 2nd unit of Empire Knights. Over on the second contingent, this force shall be led by Gotrek, so looks like the dwarf decided to, you know, take matters into his own hands and defend his own flank. We have some Naked Lunatics of Sigma, more great swords, double huntsman, as well as a single mortar. And Gotrek can be a very powerful beast, particularly when he's up against an army completely large. Everything in the Wood Elf army today does count as large, so Gotrek should indeed have a whale of a time. The mortar, on the other hand, has basically 0 good targets, unfortunately, which does kind of suck a little bit for that. The cavalry is going to start swarming forward though, needs to shut down the Great Cannon as quickly as possible. This is a little bit unlucky for the Empire. If the Great Cannon was over here and the mortar in this direction instead, I think this would be a pretty damn good start, because the Wood Elves will have to bypass this first segment to get at their enemy. But it looks like the Great Cannon is going to open up already, lancing some shots down range and catching those Great Stag Knights, already wiping out 5 models. That's some dead elite horses straight away, or Great Stags I should say. The Spellslinger is going to be darting back and forth, just trying to bait out the Empire Knights, and it seems to have worked. That's going to allow Orion to come in, but no, the Empire player keeps his resolve firm and pulls back, although it looks like it was a bit of a trap, as the Great Stag Knights are now shutting down the Great Cannon and have floated into the rear of the Empire Knights. We're even going to be seeing a Flesh to Stone go down on the Great Stag Knights, increasing the armor by 60. Is very powerful. Horn of the Wild Hunt going down as well. In comes Orion charging into the back. He is souped up. He is powered up. And he is clobbering Empire Knights, who are now terrified away, though they have Flesh to Stone on them. These Great Stag Knights really need to fall back at the moment and get away from those Halberdiers. The other unit is going to be able to finish off the Great Cannon, but they are making a bit of a meal of it, and that is by time for the Wolves of the White Hunt, or no, the White Wolves or the Huntsman, there we go, are actually 360 no-scoping into the Great Stag Knights with great deadly efficiency. Unfortunately, the White Wolves do get caught a little bit by the jumping hounds of Orion, and Boris has nowhere to go. He's got a good chance of being just completely surrounded here. He's trying to push onto Orion, maybe supported with Halberdiers. He might be able to get some decent work done. In the back part, it looks like the Great Stags have hit this second force as well, overwhelming the Great Swords. And where's Gotrek gone? Looks like the mortar was abandoned, and likewise the Huntsman. That's going to allow these Great Stags to really overwhelm this second position. Oh, it looks like Gotrek did decide, you know, I need to go save my Manlin. Poor little Manlin never knows what to do. If you want a job done, you send a dwarf. And it looks like he's doing just that. To 5 kills already on the Stags, really ripping and tearing them asunder. Lovely little shot comes down there by the Hawk's Talon of Orion, doing some nice work to some of the infantry here. The Wood Elves need to be careful though. Gotrek is still afoot and can dish out some pretty painful damage. Boris also seems to be taking basically no damage right now, going after Orion, supported by the Halberdiers, but the Lost Silver Knights are nearby to help out in that situation, as well as more Great Stag Knights do swarm into the rear of this force. It looks like in the distance all of the Huntsmen, who would be perfect in this matchup, were unfortunately abandoned and shut down, and that's kind of the problem with splitting your forces up like this. It's a very risky, it can work, but if your opponent has a bucket ton of mobility, they can nip, bob and weave into those juicy pockets and then simply leave your forces stranded. Great Swords though starting to do pretty good damage as well. Gotrek does magic damage and has forced back the Lost Silver Knights, which is certainly what he needed to do here, because the rest of the force was certainly going to struggle. Sigma Suns have got the curse popped on them. Boris trying his best right now up against Orion, and is he going to have enough? I don't think so. This is the King of the Woods, not some geezer who notoriously fails to hunt the dreaded Khazrak One-Eye over and over again. Although he's not actually doing too bad work, and it looks like a lot of the stags have actually started to be dragged down here, and the Lost Silver Knights though are still going strong. But apart from that, let's have a little kind of recap of what's left on the battlefield. Great Stag Knights are down to 18 and 7 models there. Looks like most of the units are still alive, but they have taken quite a beating at the moment. Balance power is still completely dead. Even Halberdiers get absolutely ramrodded in the flank there. They're trying to hold up their little halberds, but it's not going to do you no good, I'm afraid. What is a pointy stick to a gigantic mythical stag? More firepower does come down from the sky there, hitting at the majority of Romanian Empire infantry. Boris, though, is still pretty healthy, and it looks like Orion has taken quite a beating at the moment, but remember, he does have Cloak of Isha, so certainly can be healed up in the later stages of the game. Lost Silver Knights going to bound out to this flank to try to support their other Great Stag Knights. Not a bad idea. Overwhelm the Great Swords, force them off the battlefield, and then you have complete dominance here of the battle where you can simply float around, and that's just what the Wood Elf player is indeed doing now that he's taken out all the enemy range. Sisters of Thorn, 360 no scoping those javelins on the charge into the rear of Gotrek. Really good target for them because something needs to kill Gotrek, and it's not going to be the cavalry. So he is going to have to, slowly get whittled down. Orion as well. Oh my god, Orion's nearly dead. Boris, the man, the myth, the legend. I'm sorry I ever insulted you before. Down to just 300 HP, but in come the Great Stag Knights, saving Orion. That's going to buy him some time, perhaps, to get back on his feet. Down to just 100 hit points. 120. He is going to have to flee as quickly as possible right now. Use that mobility and regenerate up with the Cloak of Isha. That was very close right there for Orion going down, but now he's got the distance between him. Boris sees yet another hunt slip from his grasp and is starting to waver himself, but Gotrek, his good old buddy, is nearby, coming with his mighty axe, trying to hack and cleave the Great Stags, but they decide, you know what, we're simply going to fall back at the moment, ignore the little dwarfy. And Boris, takes a big spear to the back from Orion, up to 106 kills, doing some pretty nice work. And looks like Boris is indeed terrified. Army losses are getting dangerously close to setting in, but there is still a full health Gotrek to contend with, and he can be a big pain in the butt. However, cycle charging with cavalry is notoriously good still, and the Sisters of Thorn as well as Orion might be able to do some good long-range pressure on him to finish him off. Orion needs to be careful, does not want to use all his ammunition up on Boris. He can move into combat and finish him off at this point. You need to save the ammo to deal with Gotrek, who has rallied the unbreakable troops around him and charging into the fray once more. Great Stag Knights, though, going to take advantage of Gotrek kind of charging after Orion, a prize he cannot catch, in fact, and the Great Stags are going to come in the rear and decimate the Sigma Suns there. Gotrek, Foseeker pops, is dual wielding his little axe and his beard in one hand, and doing some pretty good damage. Great Stags taking quite a pounding now, down to just these 7 models, as he does manage to drive them away once more. But I think the Wood Elf player going to be doing a rather wise move at the moment, and that is simply fall back of Orion and get your javelins ready, and it's time to go Dowie hunting. There are still 2 Sigma Suns trying to get there to Gotrek and help support him. Up to 14 kills at the moment. He is very surrounded, and the problem is he's getting pushed around quite a bit, so he's not actually getting in his attack animations, and now his Shield of Thorns has gone up as well. And somewhere in this absolute flustercluck, there is a dwarf, I promise you. He's in here somewhere. There he is, getting back up onto his feet. But Orion coming in with a bit of a rear charge there, looking to cleave him asunder. And Orion, yes, maybe large, but packs a huge punch. Orion taking another big blow, though. Looks like Loopy playing this one super, super close with Orion. Down just 140 HP. One more hit, and he is going to be going down. Looks like he's just about managed to survive for now. All of the stags swarming Gotrek, who's very low HP himself. But remember, he does have the ability to get a big burst of health just before death. If that goes off, then these stags may be rethinking their life choices. We still have Sisters of Four Note as well as Orion. Going to be turning around and throwing some javelins, no doubt, into Gotrek, who currently has just shy of 1,200 HP. Orion is roaring. And let's see how much damage that does. My god, down to 900 with one javelin. He does indeed pack a massive punch there. Foeseeker pop to try to close the distance, but I don't think there's any way Orion's going to be allowing himself to get caught here. He is a Wood Elf at the end of the day. Kite is in his heart. And poor little Gotrek down to 500 HP. Probably is going to meet his maker here. Orion deciding to charge gloriously into combat. The heal should go down there for Gotrek, but I don't know what happens there. He seems to explode in his own rage, with spittle kind of going all over Orion's face, as well as the blood of the dead dwarf. A Pyrrhic victory for the Wood Elves, an awesome game, a real wild one. This was a true meme battle. There's obviously no spellcaster for the Empire, and Loopy just taking the most ridiculous Great Stag build, and I absolutely love it. Really awesome stuff you don't get to see terribly often. Well played to these two champs, and massive shout out to Loopy for sending this one in. Oh my god, Orion did absolute work there today. 3,600 damage value. Fabulous stuff. We will get to the damage dealt and damage value of all of the units in just a second, but if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a big fat thumbs up, subscribe for more glorious Total War Warhammer action, and comment down below, what did you think of the video? Did you enjoy it? What was your favourite moment and your MVP in this situation? And what do you think of just mass Great Stag Knight builds? 5 Great Stag Knights is quite ridiculous. There are links down below as well in the description to my Patreon if you'd like to support the channel. Likewise, there are links to my Discord if, just like Loopy, you'd like to submit replays to me and chill out with a load of cool people and keep up to date with events that I'm hosting. Anyway, on to the good stuff, the damage dealt, the kills, the damage value. Orion, King of the Woods, 108 kills. Those area effect and bombardment abilities coming in quite handily. 14,360 damage dealt, 3,629 damage value. Take a bow, you are still the king in my eyes. Spellslinger Life, obviously no damage value, just brought here for those epic Shield of the Thorns and the Earth Bloods. And the Great Stags, let's see how they form. So the first one, 97 kills, 1,120 damage value. The next, 171 kills, over 15k damage dealt, over 2,000 damage value on him as well. The next one just shy of 2,000, but with over 177 kills. The other Yuan's 1,536. Regiment Renown actually performing on the weaker scale here. 1,226 damage value, but still 102 kills, causing terror, 10,000 damage dealt, and very healthy in the later stages of the game. Sisters Form did a relatively solid job, 664 damage value, but a true Rohirrim build. It's a work of beauty, I must say so. As for Cornelius, my advice, of course, would be to bring a spellcaster. Both these guys were memeing pretty hard, I think, with that. So, you know, it's fine to see. 1,886 damage value. Foot Boris. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Boris going toe-to-toe with Orion. Looking in with his one good eye, staring down Orion and saying, I shall fight back. And he did a pretty good job. Gotrek as well. 1,800 damage value. I really like the initial idea of splitting up the forces, but it did not work up against the mobility of the cavalry. Up against a foot force, it certainly has potential. I have seen some Skaven players bring it to good use. The Halberdiers, 723 damage value and 1,000 as expected, getting in there and doing some pretty good work. Likewise, one unit of Greatswords over 1,000 damage value. The other, though, as well as the Huntsman, really suffering quite badly. The White Wolves, though, 881, faring a little bit better there. Unfortunately, of course, the Artillery and the Knights simply going overwhelmed by the might of the Great Stags. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Until next time, peace, peace. And as always, stay awesome.